Okay, so this is our little shoulder press that we went over in class yesterday. So when we look at this is our step up from the bench press. So I'm gonna face forward out of this rack just so you can see it from the front, and then we'll turn around, we'll show you from the back. When we look at the overhead press, we're really trying to then keep in a couple different things. So one, we have to get into a position where we can get overhead with essentially the bar lining up with our shoulder, lining up with our hip, lining up with our heel, okay? So we're trying to get in this shoulder position overhead where we're all stacked up. One of the common things you see with this shoulder press is when people press overhead, they push it out and in front, or they arch their back and they look up at the weight. So the big thing we're looking at when we look at the shoulder press is getting into a position where we can lock the core in. So we're gonna try to lock down. We're gonna get set up. Our hands are gonna be just inside our shoulders, or just outside our shoulders, right? So we don't wanna be super close right here. We also don't want our bench press grip, it's super far out. All right, so we're just outside our shoulders, making sure our hands are even. All you're doing, thumbs are wrapped. Sometimes you will see people go here with the shoulder press, a little bit more acceptable because you're not gonna drop it on your ribs like we talked about with the bench press. But keeping shoulders locked down, you've gotta pull your head back and out of the way a little bit. So if you ever sung a really high note, you had voice lessons, tucking that chin back and down, pushing. As you get to the top, you're pushing your head through. Now I don't wanna shrug, and I don't wanna rotate my elbows out to side. I wanna push straight up, so my elbows are kind of pointed out straight, more to the side and not behind me, okay? Elbows down, we're pushing all the way up, almost like you're gonna push the floor. Now notice you can relax your wrists a little bit up here, but we're gonna push, head comes back, pushing all the way up. I'm gonna show you from behind here. Whoa, awkward position, but if we see this from behind, setting up just outside the shoulders, watch the shoulder blade position, so shoulder blades stay down, pushing all the way up, poking the head through a little bit at the top, coming all the way back down. That's that shoulder press that we went over in class. Remember, we're trying to keep here locked down. We're trying to create tension. All right, now somebody asked in class, how far down do we have to go? All right, so if we look at this position here, I'm gonna weave this in just so we can have that, right? I don't need to come all the way down, right? I don't need to come all the way down to the middle of my sternum, right? We can just really come right to the top of our collarbones. You can set it on your collarbones like a front squat if you want, but we're really looking at that position and pushing in a position where we can keep tension on the bar. One of the big problems that people have is when they do this motion, they end up shrugging into their ears. We really don't want that. We want to be able to lock down, shoulder blades back and down, everything stays nice and tight, and that way when we push up, we're starting to get more support from the middle traps right down here between our shoulder blades and not necessarily up top elevating our scaps, okay? So that's that shoulder press that we went over in class. That's how we can modify that a little bit, or at least to be able to know how this works. Basically is the level up from our bench press. We have our bench press as a middle tier, then we take our shoulder press and it takes it up just a notch. Okay, so this is our step down from our shoulder press. So we talked about bench press. We have our shoulder press is a little bit higher. So when we looked at in class, we looked at this landmine press or a half kneeling landmine press. So we can sit there, and we've got these little landmine attachments. You got them at Montreat, so you've got the ability to hook it up to a rack. You can also just shove this in a corner or up against something firm. That way it doesn't move. What we're looking at here, and we're gonna show you just each side, we're looking at putting a knee up and the opposite hand. This is basically what we consider basics, is we consider contralateral. I've got this bar right here, and we're gonna push up overhead, driving as high as we can, all right? In this position where we're trying to keep that shoulder down, and we're gonna follow through. So we get a little bit of an angle. So if you're someone that struggles with pushing out in front of you on the shoulder press, this becomes a good position. Hey there, Suri, right? Puppy's in class. So being able to drive up in that position. Now, we can do this ipsilaterally, so we can actually switch legs. So that opposite arm, opposite leg was the contralateral. Now we got same arm, same leg. This is just gonna challenge it a little bit more, challenge the balance. We're just trying to move in that position, okay? Now, I'll show you this from behind. So if we were to take this, attachment here, and we're gonna switch it to the other side, see it from the other side, all right? But if we get in this position, and we really are trying to, let's lock that in. So in this position, get locked in, there we go. Start to watch the shoulder blade in this position. So if we get here, all right, just so you can see that shoulder blade position, watch what happens to the shoulder. I know you can't really see much except that position. We're kind of almost creating a U where that shoulder blade elevates and we can kind of lean into that position, okay? So I get a little bit of that protraction, elevation of the scap, but we're in this position where we can move a little bit better, okay? So that's that landmine press, that half kneeling landmine press. It's one of the ways that we can start to modify and start to step down from the bench press a little bit, especially if you have a hard time with the amount of weight that you can do. So if we have kind of our steps down, we have our bench press, we can go dumbbell bench press if the bar is too much. We can go then shoulder press if we want to go heavier. We can do a dumbbell shoulder press if we're really trying to go kind of go in between. If we want to take a step down from both of them, we can go to the half kneeling landmine press. So those are just the different things we went over in class. Those are how we kind of tackle everything in that progression, in that hierarchy.